My name is Sonia Mullins, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on March 11th of 2016. Actually, before that, so March 10th, I went in for an ultrasound on a lump that I had found, and I didn't really think anything about it because I had had them done before. But then on that day, I went for the ultrasound, and as the lady was doing the ultrasound, I knew the lump was there, but she kept going and going, and I was like, well, does she not see anything? What is going on? And she said, I'm going to go get the radiologist for a minute, if that's okay. And I said, yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know if she can find anything. Maybe I am making this up. But I know what I felt. Even when she went out the room, I was like, okay, yeah, it's there. And so the radiologist came in and she did the ultrasound, and she sat me up and she said, Sonia, you do have something going on, and I would like to do a mammogram. And I said, okay, so when do I need to get set up for that? And she said, I need to do that today. I asked her before I went in, I said, if this is something, are you going to be able to tell me? And she said, well, I want to get this done and then we'll talk again. And so I did it, and as I was dressing, she came in and she had it in her hand and she said, this is definitely something, and I don't like what I see. I need to get a biopsy. And she said, and we're doing it today. So we went in for the biopsy, and she set me up right after she got it done, and I said, I don't want it sugar-coated, I need to know. And she said, it's cancer. She said, now, I'm not supposed to tell you that, but I've seen enough to know. And she said, you'll get a call tomorrow and they will confirm, but I'm sure. You know, that month was just a whirlwind of doctor's appointments and tests and scans, and you're trying to figure out what cancer you have and what we're going to do to solve it and that kind of thing. So March was a whirlwind, and then April 29th, I had a double mastectomy. And of course, that's a long recovery, and I came out of surgery with 6 drain tubes, so you kind of look like an octopus with the drains going everywhere. And I had every complication that you could have. I pretty much had that. I even had the one that, you know, they have that little writing down there that never happens. It's a 0.5% chance of it happening. And Sonia Mullins made it happen. I can tell you, from when I was a child, chemo was my biggest fear. And I don't know why, it's just one of those things that I always said, I never want to have to go through chemo. Being nauseous is something that I absolutely hate, and I don't think any woman, man, anybody wants to lose their hair. And, you know, it's just that thing that I feared. And so the oncology appointment was the worst appointment that I dreaded. And so we went in, and my mom and my aunt went with me. And she told me that I was going to have chemo because my cancer had spread into my lymph nodes. So we had to make sure that we got it all. And so that was a hard day. That was probably the hardest day for me. I just felt a little bit beaten down that day because I felt, you know, I had lost already a lot, and then, you know, knowing what chemo is, it was just hard. About 2 weeks before my diagnosis, all of my devotions, every single one, started saying, I have a plan for you. Do not fear. When you walk through a storm, I'm going to be with you. Every devotion said the same thing. The Sunday before I went to my ultrasound, I actually went to church, and I wasn't going to radiate at that time. And there was a visiting pastor, and he preached on, a storm is coming, Some people are in a storm, some people have come out of a storm, and some people are going into a storm. And I just sat there because I knew he was preaching to me, and I knew that I had the feeling, I knew that I was about to go into a storm. And I sat there and tears just poured, and I said, God, I've been through so many storms, and I just now feel like my life is getting a little balanced. Please don't let this be for me. And I just remember just crying and begging him, please, God, I don't want another storm. And I knew that it was coming. So I went home that Sunday, and again, my devotions were the same thing until that Thursday when I went to the doctor, and she told me that. And then the very next devotion when I found out that I had cancer was, don't worry, the end will come soon. I am going to carry you through the storm. And so they automatically switched over to, do not worry, I have this. I'm walking with you. Now that I look back, I see that he led my path in every way to get to right here today. I felt at peace the whole time because I knew he told me I was going to go through it. And at the time I didn't know what it was. But he carried me. Because some days I couldn't have carried myself, and he carried me. When I kind of was going through my surgeries, it was right after chemo, and I was going through some of my reconstruction phase. That's when I started feeling better, and I could start going back to church, because there was a long time I couldn't go to church. And so when I was able to go back, I had watched Radiate a lot of times when I was sick from the live feeds. And lots of my friends or acquaintances on Facebook went there. So I just was like, well, when I feel well enough, I want to go back and try Radiate. My first Sunday at Radiate, I knew I was home. I didn't know Megan at the time. It was my first Sunday, and I had loved everything so far, and she was leading the singing and the music. And she stopped and she said, I don't know why, but I just need to tell this. And she told about her mom having breast cancer. And she said, God wants somebody to know that he's not mad at you. And for about a week and a half to 2 weeks before that, I had really struggled. And I was asking him, what have I done that's so bad that I keep getting thrown all these obstacles? And I felt like, every time my life gets a little bit settled, I get hit with something else. And then the cancer, I had one thing after another. I had complications. And so I was really battling with why are you mad at me? What can I do to say I'm sorry so I can stop having this happen? And Megan said that, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I knew. I said, this is where I belong. You belong here.